Hello, friends. Welcome to Akulmek Live. And we are living in uncertain times. It's very difficult for any business, any leader to predict few things. If somebody says, "Hey, can you make a plan?" The chances are that those plans will not work properly simply because we are living in uncertain time. And I think the biggest casualty is the decisions because people are not decisive. So, in such a situation, how the decision making process will take shape, will change. And to discuss this very important matter, we will be joined by a very senior learning and development professional, world acclaimed Miss Aditi Palit, who is joining us from Calcutta. So, without further ado, let's welcome her.
Thank you, Chandragant. Once again, it's the time to share my views on the topic with the audience, with the wonderful audience out there, and with you.
Welcome to the show, Aditi, and let's dive into the subject. And it is about the decision making process. And as the good old days, in the good old days, people used to say that, well, I don't have to do anything. I will have to just carry out all the, whatever my boss says and ask me to do, I will just do that. And now the situation is that the team leader is not able to decide because even the CEOs are not able to give directions. So, in such a situation, my first question to you would be, what is going on? First of all, in your opinion, because you talk to so many leaders, where is the confusion and why the decision making process is taking a hit right now?
Okay, Chandrakant, this is the pandemic has revealed what uncertain times can be, how challenging it is for business houses. Now, what as you said correctly earlier, everything was set. The same kind style of management work, the topmost level, they decided the functions that are going to be carried out and how they were going to be carried out, and the rest down the ladder hierarchy carried it out. Now, the when the pandemic suddenly hit and there was economic crisis, and there was large, like we all know, large scale cutting of jobs or salaries, and that was total almost chaos. Now what happened was that, as again one of my idols, Mr. Ratan Tata, said that the ethics didn't come into play. The decision was solely made by the owners of the companies, the management, and then only thought of cutting down the expenses at any cost to keep afloat. The decision was obviously absolutely against the interests of the employees who have given their heart and soul. Most of their time, the preference was the work, their commitment to the companies. And therefore, what follows was large scale attrition. Now, I am sure you can understand it was a faulty decision to look at only cutting down expenses and not look at the interest of the greatest asset of a company, that is the employees. So there, the decision was wrong. What happened? The employees were not taken into consideration. Of course, the interest of the economic interest of a company, what is going to come in, leaving alone the profit. At that time it was not profit, even the basic meeting the expenses was a matter of greatest concern to the owners more than the employees. But that decision, if it percolated in a more empathetic way, if I say, down to the employees, if they were offered that your jobs won't be taken away, bear with us, give us 6 months, a decision will be taken where and how we can, improve your salary as we get back the foothold. So this is what happened in uncertain times. It has to be all the stakeholders that they have to be taken, their views have to be taken into consideration before any final decision is made.
Well, in my opinion, I think there is another confusion that is brewing in the industry, and that is maybe the business rules have changed. Maybe the way we do business have changed, and that is why the leader of today may not have very clear idea of how, what steps they should take. I think that is also one of the factor, isn't it? Your opinion, because you talk to so many leaders, is it a fact that the business rules have changed and the way we do business is also changed and the current leadership does not know how to cope up with it?
Definitely, definitely, that is being discussed so much everywhere. Again, the style of functioning totally remote. Now, to get and technology, the necessary technology, the platforms that were discovered. Now, the lead, right from the leaders to their team members, had to get used to these, new platforms and technologies that were introduced. Now, how does one get, when it's a global workforce, there is time, again, the everything, work-life balance, etc., everything came into play. Again, I'm saying it is now a more democratic setup where everyone has, if the team leader is struggling with the kind of automation that is happening, he can take the views of his team members. If someone is very, very tech savvy, then he can be invited to lead the team. The leaders, now here ego could not come into play. You may be a very good motivator as a leader. You may be using traditional ways of leading your team and you face success. You have to, everyone, it was experimentation all through, isn't it? You have, you're handling technology, automation so much. You came from an HR background, you have learned, you have handled, and now come up, tops with this. So remote work, then, now when hybrid work is coming, they're all different ball games, isn't it? So the leadership has to be that let us make any decision together, which one we are going to utilize, how we are going to utilize, how I am going to take you along. The decision of the management conveyed to him, how it is through automation, how it is conveyed to the remote team members. If it's a global team, time constraints, the time gaps, how do you keep everyone on board? Meetings. The greatest challenge was in scheduling meetings. At the bottom, new automation. So leadership was more, if it was everything was trial and error, it was also trial and error, and you had to admit it. A very open-minded leader is the one that is needed in this crisis.
I think I agree with you there. I also like to pick your brains on one more reality which we are facing right now. And as almost entire last year, there were so many resignations. And because of that, now we are entering into the era of contract workers. So even people who are like a CFO or sales heads who used to be CMOs or CSOs, etc., even strategies, they will work on contract basis. So as per the estimate, and all the gurus have been saying that almost 55 to 60% of the staff in a company would be working on a contract. And therefore, the decision making would be required of a different kind, because you have to make a decision in terms of incorporating these freelancers or contract labor. What is your opinion on this change? How the leaders of today or tomorrow will have to incorporate these new changes which are happening in the industry?
Now, a contract, employees were there. Now, top management also on contract basis. Now, what is happening? So it will keep changing. Say the employees are maintained, the top brass, they are changing, they are becoming on contract. Now here comes are you a people's person? You have to come into a company, adopt to the culture, adapt to the ways of working, and adopt to your team. Earlier, it was a new member adopting the manager's ways and the working, the functioning of the company. Now here, how do you have to you have to know your team. And one thing that I feel, have always felt, that biases of any kind do not work, have never worked in a leader, and will never work. Now, if I'm open to contract work, I am doing, so many companies, one after the others, everything will be changing. Now, as I had to adopt to automation and, technology, how am I adapting to the ways and means of the team under me? This company employees, they function in a different way. I have to leave my ego behind. If they are there before me, I can pick up, I can ask for suggestions, this constant interaction. And Chandrakant, I have trained, and I still, one of my favorite topics is communication. Why did this happen? The great resignations, because of the breakdown in communication. Right from, whether it's top brass to the, vertical, horizontal, we have so many terms. The fact is that how everything, your body language, the team that you have been entrusted with, the new team in a new company, you don't know anything about them. But if I go with the ego that I am a management, guru, I'm a leader so many years in so and so company, and I'm going to start and I'm going to implement those ways in this company, doesn't work. I have to first learn from the management the ways and means, and through clear, crisp, concise communication, through the automation that's being used in that particular company, I'm going to make myself comfortable and approachable with the team I'm handling. For the period of contract, that is my company. And most important, the loyalty should be, if I was working, as if I was working from before, and I'm going to continue working. If I have only that, mindset that I'm going to be here on a 2-year contract, it will not work. And it's the challenge is I have only 2 years to show my leadership qualities, which will fit into that X company, what is expected of it. So the decisions that I take, the way I take, convey the decisions of the management, and how I'm going to, what decisions I'm taking will take for this, team. Are they well thought out? Are they done in a phased manner, not under time constraints, not letting, again, my previous biases coming into play? And I'm going to be also one of the team players. Project acted according to the interest of the company, and this works here, I will try and I will do that.
Well, there is a friend of mine in UK, and he is also the best selling author. He has written a book, very interesting book, and that is called Inner CEO. And in his book, he describes, his name is Jeremy Blaine, so I can give credit to him. Uh, in his book, he describes that gone are the days where there used to be a manager, and every team member has to think like a CEO. And that book has become very popular, where he says that everybody has to bring out their inner CEO, and there is no leader, or there is no junior, senior, etc. The team has to think as a CEO. What is your opinion on this very important subject? Because I think that is concerning our discussion today also.
See, I just my last sentences were that if the manager, gives that freedom to the team members, they are surely, I mean, most of them will take up this opportunity. There again comes, the choice of creativity, innovation. It's not that I have to fall into it. The broad guidelines of the goals, of the targets of the companies will always stay. But if I, as a leader, I have not thought of this strategy, and I tell my manager, leader, that if you try out this and we just do it this way, it's going to take lesser time. It's a, strategy is this, and we're going to get better end results, and we're going to meet our deadline, our, target, everything. So if one team member is given that chance, and by the team leader, manager, then all of them will come out. This democratic setup, I agree totally with the author of the book. You give credit to someone, that person will go out of his way to prove that he's the best employee, best team member of the entire team. Should be a collective one.
Well, there is my last question to you, and that is related to the how do I say? It's like the payment mechanisms, how people used to sell their services. Because earlier, all you could do is you can make an annual plan, then you break down those plans into quarterly plan, and then break down into monthly plan. And basically, once the plan is ready for a year, there was no need to change that plan. You can do a course correction, midway course correction, but the plan is already there, and you can keep sticking to that. Right now situation is that those plans, even if you make, won't work, and that is why most of the companies are shifting to pay as you go. Even my company Akulmac is using the same model, where you pay as you go, and that is what even Google is doing. Even the large companies are doing that. So, your last words to the managers of today, to the leaders, what they should do in order to accept these realities, because if you don't accept the reality and keep working on an annual plan basis, the thing is that you will not go far. So, your last words to these people and accept the reality is what I want to hear from you.
Today, I think, Chandrakant, more than ever, you are reading my mind. I was just going to come up, if you talk of solutions. I just read today that, all the company heads are thinking of it's how to stall this resignation, mass resignation. Skilling, reskilling, upskilling is one of them. Now, there's one company where the manager told one, employee that I'm thinking of, I have made this suggestion to the top brass, and that instead of salary being paid at the end of the month, I'm thinking of giving my members every week. And the response of the employee was that I'll never think of quitting this company. So the decision that was made, that economic decision is everywhere the most important decision in every aspect of life, isn't it? So if, like, people leave a job nowadays, when the higher salary is offered, if you don't mind my saying, bit of a controversy, it didn't happen before, but the kind of the systems that working, people are leaving a company after company. That is what their decision. I don't say anything about it. But the fact is, decisions, innovative decisions like this. Now, if you know, the performance appraisals are being brought down again to weekly or quarterly, weekly or at end of a monthly. Earlier it was, the earliest that was done was quarterly. You have to take hardcore decisions, decisions which will affect positively the employee and the company. The pandemic has thrown up, had thrown up, and still we are facing a host of problems. Now, I want to end with this also, Chandrakant, that the decision why people, the employees are resisting this hybrid work is why the decision is not conveyed clearly to the employees. That what the way, as you know, Mr. Narayan Murthy Infosys has said that he's given in 2 words, that productive. It is of course his. There's a lot of discussion on LinkedIn in which I was a part of it, on that he is trying to impose something, but there is something which he is the father of that company. He wants the best. So to him, he thinks that people at home may not be as productive with the distractions than in the office. Now, this decision, which he has given in 2 words, this should, or any decision by the management and the leaders should be effectively, clearly explained to the employees how it is going to benefit them. You have to take hard decisions. The company owners had to take hard decisions. Still, the time is there. If my company is benefiting from hybrid work, if I've tried, my managers are coming regularly, my employees are coming thrice a week, and it is having an effect, good effect. Okay, now those sitting at home are not being aware of that. So you take decisions, but why the employees are not understanding and taking it to be too harsh, too hard, is because the decision is, again, the communication is faulty. Company has to impress that the employees interests are the main concern. They have sanitized, they have opened up the cubicles, they're giving more free time to the employees to go out and enjoy fresh air. Anything that there's no question of the virus there. 99, we cannot say 9, the cases have come down. We leaders are taking charge, and we are responsible for your safety. If you sit down and talk to the employees, they will, listen, they will understand, they will not leave. It's my experience of having been there so many years, and I believe that communication should be why the decisions were taken.
Very well, Aditi. Thank you so much for joining us and giving your valuable advice to the managers of today and also the leadership teams. In fact, if they don't smell the coffee, it'll be too late. Especially when the augmented reality, virtual reality type of solutions are just on the horizon. In fact, yesterday I saw the Airtel has launched a virtual cricket application absolutely free, where they can, you as a player can play with Kapil Dev. Those kind of things are happening, and very soon those things will percolate down into education, into medical, yeah. So thank you so much for joining us. And I think the subject for today was the decision making, or DSS, decision support systems. The rules of engagement have changed. So if anyone wants to reach out to Aditi for any help, for any advice, they can reach out to Aditi, or they can reach out to us. The email will be mentioned at the end of this video, and we'll make the connection happen. So for today, I'd like to say goodbye. Aditi, I will catch you next week, same time. Until then, bye-bye.